Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. So, how are you doing today, this week? Yes, everything is good. Okay, what are we going to talk about in this fantastic video? So, we're going to be talking about corporate PPAs, corporate power purchase agreement, and explaining why they are on the rise. Yes, they are on the rise. So, do you know why? So, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. Do you understand the reason? So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tony Teo. I'm the founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa, your Africa clean energy champion. And like every week, we are having a catch up discussion for me to give you some insights about the sector. And the whole idea of our channel is to make sure that we can demystify the renewable energy sector for you, whether you are an investor, whether you are a business, or whether you are a simple professional. And then if you haven't done it yet, so please, I would implore you to definitely subscribe to the channel, right? So click on the link below and also press the bell notification. This way, whenever there is a new video like that, you are notified, right? So you know everything about it. Okay, that's great. So we're going to be talking about corporate PPAs. Yes, that's going to be the key message for today because I need to bless your day. Yeah, so I'm sure you haven't had it yet. So if you haven't had it yet, so that means you can't be having the best day ever just yet. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So the corporate PPAs. So let me just jump into that straight. But first of all, before we go into that, it's important to understand why do we even talk about the corporate PPA? For the simple reason that you've heard it numerous times that there is a challenge for power across the continent of Africa, right? So I'm sure you heard about the number, the 600 million people lacking electricity. I'm sure you wonder like me, so how come it doesn't come down? Well, the thing to also understand is it's not just household missing power, but you also have businesses, and for businesses, it's even sometimes more crucial because businesses, that's what is driving the growth of a country, the economy especially. So those businesses are lacking power. So where are they getting power from? Where are they expecting to get power from? Most of the time from the grid, those big utility scale projects. The trouble, as you know, those projects are not fast enough to come back, meaning that businesses are having to look at alternative solutions. And I'm sure a number of them have used generator. You heard about that. So that's one of the main reasons, first of all, we even talking about corporate PPAs. It's because the context is such that businesses are sort of crying for power and they don't have it. I can tell you, for example, two countries that I can name in Cameroon, for example, but another country that was in Zimbabwe recently, and also in Kenya. I've definitely heard of businesses that couldn't run their operation because they're lacking power. So that's definitely an issue. So corporate PPA are on the rise, right? Because the context is such that they need to get something. And because for a business, like I always explaining to people, the difference between the business and the household. For the household, if you don't have power, clearly it's frustrating, it's annoying, but you can carry on with your life. It's okay. Yeah. For a business, it's a little bit more difficult. If you don't have power, most of the time, you can't even run your operation. You can't make money. And if you can't make money, ultimately, you're doomed to fail. Right. So that's what businesses have to find a solution. So, as you can imagine now, a number of businesses are approached by many developers out there that are sort of bypassing the grid and going directly and talk to the people who are actually using the power. And we're talking about the those businesses. So because developer will bypass the grid and talk to the business, so when they enter into an agreement, right, to get the power from those, I would say private entities, the solar developers, the wind developer, or whatever. So that's what we call the agreement that they signing between themselves is called a corporate PPA, a corporate power purchase agreement. And as I say, they definitely on the rise as we're speaking now. So how do I know that? For the simple reason that Renewables in Africa, our company, so we're also operating in this business, in the CNI business, basically providing clean energy solutions to companies, and we're not the only one. And I could definitely compare with what was the situation about 5, even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. It definitely wasn't the case. Right? It was it was a small market, but definitely it's picking up. I can tell you, for example, in 3 markets that I can name that are the main market for the continent outside of South Africa. You have Nigeria, you have Kenya, you also have Ghana. You have pretty much an addressable market that can come close to about 3 gigawatts. So that's huge, right? So this is what we're talking about. And if you're looking at the moment, the that portion of the market that is served is very, very small. So clearly there is a room for improvement and for growth there. So those PPA are on the rise. So what are the 3 main reasons? So let's look at that right now. The first reason for those PPAs to be on the rise is simply the economics. Yes, the economic. That's the first reason, because the cost of solar and wind, I'm sure you heard about it many times, has been dropping over the last decade even more. Right? We had more than 80% drop. These days, if you're doing, for example, a megawatt project, so it will cost you about $1 million, even less than that. So definitely it comes up to basically $1 per watt or sometimes below, depending what's the scale of your project. So definitely the technology, especially solar and wind, are getting cheaper. And if it's becoming cheaper, it means it's becoming more interesting, not only for investors, but also for businesses who are looking for that to sort of plug the power gap that they're having at the moment. So that's one of the reasons, the economics. And also part of the economics, you also have the grid tariff in this country that now keeping on increasing. Whether you're talking about Ghana, whether you're talking about Senegal, Kenya, South Africa, pretty much all this country, the grid tariff is going up. And why is it going up? The grid tariff, again, that's probably the topic of another video. We're not going to look at that. Suffice to say that for the foreseeable future, I bet they will keep on increasing for the simple reason that they chasing the level whereby they will be cost reflective, right? Those tariffs, because at the moment, so it's heavily subsidized most of the grid in the continent. So that means that the businesses, the utility, are sort of making many losses, right? So in order to reduce that, so they have no choice but to sort of keep on increasing the cost. And as you can imagine, the customer from their end are not happy about that, because what they can see is the energy bill are increasing. Because when the utility are increasing the grid tariff, that's the way for them to pass on the cost of their losses into the customer in order to minimize or sort of mitigate the situation. And nowadays, as we were talking about the economics, so you can have corporate PPAs looking at tariff between, I would say, 10 to $14 cents, right? And if you look at many countries in Africa, this is cheaper than the grid for many of these countries. Definitely, it's cheaper than the grid. In Ethiopia, it will be cheaper than the grid. For example, in Ethiopia, so you have the grid is on the 20 cents, per kilowatt hour, and going upwards, and that's even without using the diesel generator. So the economics is very favorable as we're talking about it at the moment. So that's why we can see the rise of corporate PPAs. But there is another reason, which is the second reason that I want to talk to you today. It's actually the power supply stability. Yes, because, right, the grid is struggling, right, to keep up with the demand and also to keep up with the maintenance of the infrastructure. So basically, what is consumer are saying, and that's common as well across the continent, many power outages, right? Whether you're going from South Africa, where you're calling load shedding, you're going to Ghana. Ghana is slightly better than that, but we used to call it doomsaw, whatever. Basically, so the power outages are numerous, and sometimes in some country you may even have more than once a day, right? Which is very annoying, very annoying. And now you could be telling me, okay, because that's actually one of my friends was saying, yeah, power outages doesn't mean that it's a problem per se. What about its power outage just for a minute? Because I'm sure even in very developed country you have it at time, which is true. Power is sometimes tripping. But what we're talking about here is outages that can last anything between 2 to 14 hours. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about here. And even in some cases, it could be days. So that's why it's very, very annoying. And if you're running an operation, running some machine, that can damage your machine. So clearly, businesses are looking for alternative. And right, and that's one of the reasons they're looking at CPPAs, because at the moment, right, the only way for them to cope with that is to use diesel generator. And you know this is very expensive, diesel generator, right? You could be looking at times, it depends where you are, sometimes 3 times the cost of the grid to run a generator, right? So it's very expensive. So that's the second reason why CPPAs are on the rise. Because, as I say, we have an issue with power supply stability. Yeah, many outages. We're looking to counter that. So the third reason explaining why corporate power purchase agreements are also on the rise, it's simply the sustainability target. Yes, I'm sure you're familiar with commitment like the Paris Agreement that was signed or in 2015, ratified in 2015. Many countries, I think almost all the countries in the on the planet, right, have signed it. I think it's only maybe only one I haven't done it. I think it's North Korea, if I'm correct, right? Almost everybody signed it, and those commitment and in conjunction with those commitments, each country have made some pledges. And what is happening now, you're having a pressure from government that is applying, that is actually pushing the private sector to move toward those commitments. Because if a country as a whole is going to be meeting those commitments, it has to be government, but also private sector playing the game. So you clearly have a pressure from this side. Yeah. And as we moving towards COP26, I'm sure as well you've heard a lot these days about the carbon neutral commitment, whereby lots of companies now are making this commitment to say that yes, we're going to be carbon neutral. What I'm hearing these days is by 2030, but 2050, it depends how ambitious is the company. Yes, you could argue that it comes a lot from big companies, but guess what? These big companies also progressively, because they're getting the pressure from, yes, the government, but progressively as well, what they do, they're passing that pressure on also to the supply chain. And that's how things are cascading down, right? So this is what you see. And I can tell you as well from primary example, I've definitely have had already to engage with two companies that are looking to turn their whole factory across the world, right, into carbon neutral facility, which is actually very, very, very impressive. And this is what we're talking about. And then if you also pay attention to the news, you would have heard that the uh, European continent, yeah, have passed. I think it's a new law, the new law saying that Europe gonna be carbon neutral. I think it's either 2055 something or 2050. So all of a sudden the date slipped my mind, the year slipped my mind. But if you check the Fit for 55, which is the roadmap they came up with, right? To I think it's 2050. Sorry, I think 55%. That's the level of reduction they want to apply. Yeah, so that's the roadmap that's going to be driving this effort, right? And as I've said, and that roadmap sort of includes all the different sectors, and areas. Whether you're talking about government, whether you're talking about the society, whether you're talking about private sector, everything is in there. So that's why I'm saying the sustainability target definitely pushing companies to take action. And as they're taking action, as I say, they'll be looking at signing corporate power purchase agreement. So these are the three main driver that for me are explaining the rise of corporate PPAs, right? So if I summarize that for you, so I've talked about the fact that the economics are very favorable now for people and companies to move toward corporate PPAs, right? I've also talked about okay, yeah, and obviously explained that cost of solar is coming down, grid tariffs are going up. So that's the sort of the perfect scenario. You also have the stability of the power supply, which is important because companies fed up having many outages, right? And they need to do something about it. They're looking at alternative solutions. Before they had the diesel becoming expensive now, they're looking now at obviously alternative solution, solar, wind. If there's any other, I'm sure they're looking at that. And that's another reason why corporate PPAs are very much on the trend at the moment. Yeah, are increasing. And then you have a sustainability target that we're talking about because of the Paris Agreement commitment made by countries, government cascading down into to private sector to companies, big companies to the supply chain, and so on and so forth. And that's what is explaining the rise of the corporate PPAs. Yeah, does it make sense? Great. Hang on a second. I have a fourth one for you. The simple fact that, remember what I told you? Company, they need power now, not tomorrow. They're tired of waiting for the grid, right? And they know there's another solution now available. They jump into that. That's what I'm saying. Corporate PPA, basically, a fourth reason, it's simply because it's also faster for businesses. It's faster. Like I said to people, the difference between those big utility scale project and CNI, commercial industrial, is like utility scalers, you're talking to politicians. CNI, you're talking to business owners. Business owner, right? They're driven by they need to make their company work. Otherwise, they go bust, right? They don't have time to keep on waiting. They want solution now. And if you're telling them that the solution makes sense financially, obviously they're going to be looking at that. Yeah. And that's a fourth reason, simply because they are faster to implement. Right. So hopefully that was useful for you. So that was the video that we had for today. So if you want to find out a little more about that, and maybe you want to talk to me about your particular project, or better your business, you want to find a little bit more, feel free to reach out to me. I actually do have some free slots that I've reserved for this week, either on Wednesday or Thursday. You will see below on the link. So yeah, there is a button where you can book an appointment with me, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. Same thing as well. If you're an investor, you want to jump into the sector, you have to find a little bit more, or maybe you're a professional already working there. That's fine. Let me just ask you one thing, please. If you book a meeting, please do turn up. Please do that. Because if you don't do that, you're already sort of taking a session away from somebody who may be very interested. I've had already instances over the last couple of weeks, people booking but not turning up. I don't think it's a great use of your own time, right? So there's no need to book if you don't think that you can make it. Yeah. But if you do it, please, for by respect for you, but also for other people, to turn up. And if it doesn't mind as well, for respect as well for me. Yeah. So yes, so this is what I had to cover for today. So hopefully it makes sense. So yeah, hopefully you find it interesting. If you have some other topic you want me to talk about, definitely make sure that you can hit the comment button. Just leave me a message there. I can see. Make sure that you can reach out to me either by email, either on LinkedIn, and we respond. Either me or my team will respond to you. And yeah, and don't forget if you haven't done it yet, it's still a good time to subscribe. Yeah, and to hit the notification button and just spread and share the message. This is how we're passing on the insight to make sure that we demystify the renewable energy sector for you. Right? So this is Tony Teo, founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa and the author of The Wind Energy Outlook in Africa. So all that is left for me to say is have a wonderful rest of the week, and hopefully I'll talk to you sometime this week. Take care. Bye-bye.